Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Sagittarius for April 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and check out my professional development courses and other goodies on my site. So what's going on in the month of April? We are still in the midst of this wrapping up unfinished business. We have Venus retrograde this month until the 15th. We have Mercury going retrograde this month from the 9th through May 3rd. So we're still feeling this inward and backward energy as a theme. But at the end of the month, when Mars gets into Gemini, we start to feel this sign of the future movement that has been pending for so long. So we're going to talk about other general transit energies that will be affecting you. But first I want to talk about some things specific to Sagittarius. The first thing on my mind to talk about is the transiting North Node. When we look at the North Node in a natal chart, and I always look at the North Node in a natal chart, and I always teach my apprentices that they can't get out of a reading without talking about the North Node. The North Node is someone's area of highest expression in this lifetime. So yeah, we want to talk about that all the time, right? When you look at a North Node in transit, it's talking about an area of experience, an area of our lives that holds keys to our bigger personal highest expression. So for Sagittarius right now, and this is early, middle, and late, there are keys to your individual happiness that are coming through the energy of Sagittarius itself because it's transiting through the 9th house. So I'm calling this theme owning your luck. Occasionally I will talk about the luck of the Sagittarius. Now, not to say that there aren't Sagittarius that feel downtrodden, and especially now as Saturn has been going through our sign, and I am going to speak to that in this video for sure because it's something that we haven't addressed in a bit and I want to talk about it. But in general, Sagittariuses are known to be the luckiest of the zodiac. And I believe that that is because of a way that Sagittarius see things. It's the perspective that actually activates this luck. When you see something in a positive way, and you can see all of these books coming out in recent years about gratitude and about focusing on positive things. And this is something that Sagittarius energy just does naturally. So there are books telling us if we focus on more positive things, we bring more luck and positivity into our lives. Well, this is something that Sag energies have always known. This is what we've done. This is why we have more luck. I say we because I'm a Sag. My sun is in Sag, and I have a massive amount of placements in Sagittarius in my chart. Very, very imbalanced with Sag. But in any case, so owning our luck is something that we can do to help bring our highest expression into reality, according to this placement of the North Node. And one of the ways you can bring more luck into your life is to focus on the positive. If you found that Saturn has been getting you down, especially, if your birthday is like the 12th, through not quite the end of the sign, but 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, like that time frame, or if you're talking about the degrees from like 20 on, not quite to the end, but till about 25 degrees or so, we've been actually getting completely pummeled by Saturn's movement. It's very stressful. If your birthday is before the 12th, or if your Sag placements are before 20 degrees, then this work with you has already been done and the worst is behind you. Okay, so for those of you who are in this current time that I'm describing, or outstretched out into the rest of the Sag placements, because Sag is going to hit all of those later placements this year. So from the 12th on, or from 20 degrees on, we still have a massive amount of work that wants to be done with us with Saturn. Now, some positive news is that Saturn is going in retrograde in April. So it actually will give us a break from the pounding from Saturn. It could bring back in retrograde Saturn to move back over one of our placements, which could activate some things that had already come up. But usually when it hits back over in retrograde, it's not as strong as the first strike, if you will. So it's like Saturn is less of a taskmaster when it's in retrograde. It's sort of like Saturn takes some L-theanine and chills out when it's in retrograde. So this, forcing of us making our bigger dreams into a reality that requires consistency and discipline, which is not the Sag way, we've been getting worn out. Saturn moving over your sun, if Saturn has moved over your sun recently, and it will have, if your birthdays are within that range that I mentioned, you could be having your vitality, your health be negatively affected by Saturn squashing the life out of you. Or you could be having Saturn affect a male close to you. The sun represents male energy in our lives. And it's very possible that this male, a partner, a father, could have been going through challenges because of, this energy with Saturn with you. So Saturn wants discipline. Saturn wants you to figure out the answers to things. So I just want to give you some support that at least if this hazing is continuing for you, I want you to know that it has a finite end. So basically, while Saturn is retrograde, it's good, and that's from April 5th or 6th, depending on your time zone, into all the way through August 25th. There's probably going to be some rest, but there are still going to be integrations of lessons, and that Saturn could cross back over, bringing some things back up. And then once it goes direct in August, it's going to move over for the final pass. When Saturn makes a final pass, it's like the last pieces. Usually the last pieces aren't the worst. The hardest part had already happened in the earlier part of the transit. So Saturn, whew, man, I'm really glad for y'all who've had it past. For those of you who still have it present, remember that even though it's really hard work and it can be very depressing and it can be very heavy, that Saturn is giving you opportunities now that you haven't had for almost 30 years and you won't have again for almost 30 years, as far as getting your life on track and doing things to establish the future of the things that make you the happiness. So we'll look at the bright side of it, right? We'll practice what I was just talking about, which is trying to be positive and focus on the positive aspect of it. So in the lighter astrology, the movement of the inner planets, we have a strong focus for Sagittarius on the 5th house, and that's early, middle, and late degree placements. The early degree placements will have the Sun and Mercury there. The middle degree placements have Mercury and Mars, and the late degree placements have Mars. So whether it's a little or a lot of energy, we all have the 5th house accentuated. And that's really fun because the 5th house has to do with fun, romance, creativity. It has to do with children, your own or others, childlike wonder, approaching life with a childlike wonder. It could be a very romantic time, a time when romance comes back into the forefront. Because of all the retrograde energy, it would probably be something coming back from the past, like romance coming back with your current partner or someone coming back from the past as far as a love interest for those of you who are not attached already. Something involving children could come back from the past for better, or if they need some attention with something. It's a house that's focused on children and creativity, and it's basically the zest for life, the spark for life. So if you have creative projects, you might find that they're coming back into focus and you have a crazy zeal for them at this time. Whenever there are planets in Aries, as there are for part of the month, Aries energy blends beautifully with Sag energy and it lights us on fire. Whenever we're around fire energies, if you notice Sag friends, when you're around Leo energy or Aries energy, it fuels your fire. And that could be for better or worse. I get burnt out myself when the energy is going to fire because I get so inspired and I spin everything so rapidly that I burn myself out. And that's what Sag energy does. We burn ourselves out. So the caution here is that there's a lot of fun to be had. There's a lot of creativity to share, but you just have to have some fair balance as far as rest because the energies are really conducive to burning yourself out. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Sag placements. Now I want to talk about some sweet spots for April, some challenging spots for April, and other things to know about the general transits that will be relevant for you. I'm calling the theme of April, the general astrology transits that will affect everyone. Wrap it up. we still have a major focus on retrograde energy. We started this theme in December of 2016, and every month until now, we've had a personal planet retrograde and or the shadow period of a personal planet retrograde. So, this idea of taking unfinished business and clearing it up so that when we move forward and we have these signs of moving forward, especially towards the end of April, when Mars gets into Gemini and the energy really starts to stir up, we'll have this feeling of where we're going, you know, this long-awaited actual movement on an external level in the outer realms. But this month of April is a time to wrap it up. It's a time to resolve unfinished business. When I was planning these horoscopes, I was sitting one day in a place that had inspirational quotes flashing across the screen. And there was one that said, "There's more to life than increasing its speed." And that was by Mahatma Gandhi. And I really, really liked that as something to mention for this month, because the energy of retrograde is just the antidote to this over-busy, over-scheduled world. So the more we can take stock of things closer to home, take stock of internal events. You know, it's not that you can't say yes to opportunities that come in your external realms. Of course, it's fine to do things. Just know that new things that seem to come in a retrograde time often will change their terms compared to what you agree to, or they might be shorter term than you anticipate. That doesn't have to be a problem. That doesn't mean you can't activate it. It's just an awareness to have. But as far as intentionally doing something, you know, it just lends itself to shorter term contracts, and it lends itself to wrapping up unfinished business. So we've got this theme that continues through April. Like I said, at the end of the month, you'll start to see things stirring up as far as like actual authentic outer movements coming soon. So I want to talk about some of the aspects that are going to be relevant this month. I'm going to give you a list of some of them, but you can get a more complete list when you go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter. I do a write-up for the upcoming month, and I send that out a month early as well, to give you more details of days that have good energy, days that have challenging energy, and how to, you know, what you might expect with those things. But here's a more summarized list. We start out the month with a really great burst of energy with Mars in Taurus trining Pluto in Capricorn. Mars rules action and Pluto rules transformation, and a trine is the best aspect in astrology. So, you know, you might see something come in that that could be notable, or you might use that time to try to get something done that's important. The same days, like April 5th, April 6th, Saturn's going to go retrograde. When an outer planet goes retrograde, there are different effects than when an inner planet goes retrograde, because outer planets spend a very long period of time retrograde, and inner planets, you know, the ones closer to us, they go retrograde in a different type of cycle. They're not retrograde as long as these outer planets. But in any case, when Saturn goes retrograde, I see it actually as getting a break from Saturn's chop busting. You know, Saturn is the disciplinarian, is the taskmaster. It wants you to do something, you know, to be on point, to step it up, to work really hard, to work smarter, to do all of this stuff, have all these lessons in the signs and houses that it's moving through. When it goes in retrograde, it actually eases up a little bit, where your to-do list is more manageable, where you can integrate the lessons, where you get a break. So I'm excited about the Saturn in retrograde for all of us, and that will be from around April 5th or 6th, depending on your time zone, until August 25th. Then we have on April 7th. Now I'm giving you the dates that these happen, but we can feel the effects of planetary transits before or after the actual day that they happen. So just be aware of that. So on April 7th, we have this yearly Sun opposing Jupiter clash. And this time the Sun is in Aries and Jupiter is in Libra. So this theme that we had quite a bit of last month through major outer planet connections, we have another little burst of this. So Aries is me. Libra is we, so it's like someone's individuality is conflicting with something in relationship or a relationship obligation or an opinion of someone you're in relationship with. So that could bring a moment, in relationships where there's a clash there. On April 10th, we have the full moon, and that's at 21 degrees of Libra. This full moon is going to be conjunct Jupiter and square Pluto. All of the planets, all of the signs, all of the placements have a potential to have positive or negative effects. Sometimes we think about Jupiter as having positive luck-bringing effects, and that can often be true. When Jupiter is sitting next to something else, like an event like a full moon, it amplifies it. Full moons are intense already. So the completion, the fruition, something coming to be in the areas of Libra might be more intense or more expanded. So something notable with relationship, someone coming to an agreement, something coming to a closure, and some sort of something with an interpersonal relationship will probably be the theme there. And the square to Pluto usually means that there's some sort of, person with some control or entity with some control that is not making the situation easier. Usually some sort of force that just seems like it's working against you. So I always like to leave a little room around the full moons because they're often emotional, and you might want to have the space to tend to whatever comes up there, whether it's a great positive thing coming to fruition that you want to be present for, or whether it's a challenge that's going to be emotional and you'll need a little time to recover. I think it's a good idea to leave some space around that full moon, which is on April 10th. On April 16th, there is a nice angle between Venus in Pisces and Mars in Taurus that could bring resolutions in relationships. So it's possible that that full moon accentuates this issue, and that maybe this Venus-Mars aspect could bring some sort of accord back into the picture. On April 17th, there's a beautiful angle between the Sun, which is in Aries, and Saturn, which is in Sagittarius. So this could bring a boost to long-term goals or something that you've been working on for a while, some sort of positive energy there. And then on April 19th or the 20th, depending on where you are, the Sun in Aries is conjunct Mercury. Now, the energy, or actually by then it's in Taurus. So it's the Sun in Taurus conjunct Mercury. So this is going to bring a dose of realism and or a dose of productivity. Whenever planets get together, they have an amplified effect. Sometimes the effects can be a positive experience, sometimes the effects can be a negative experience. The Sun amplifies, Mercury is communication or information or news. So I see it as a realism or productive, something bringing productivity around that time. Then on April 21st and the days around there, especially watch your security on all levels and other private and personal information, because Venus in Pisces is going to square Saturn and Sag, and Saturn can bring some hard lessons and want some details attended to. And Venus rules money and love, and Pisces is stuff kind of going on in the backdrop. So just, be cautious of your personal things in the backdrop, especially around that time. Then on April 24th, we have Mercury in Aries making this beautiful aspect to Saturn and Sag, just like the Sun did a few days before. So this can bring in good news or more boosts to long-term goals. There are some themes that I'm seeing, a theme that I'm seeing this month because of a lot of pretty nice Saturn aspects, are these boosts to long-term goals. Now, even though we're in the midst of something, this retrograde energy that's kind of like a short-term energy or a going backwards energy, but if you've been working over this time to see to details in the backdrop, you might see these Saturn aspects really start to light up, showing the work that you've done is actually getting somewhere. On or around the 26th, you'll feel that new moon energy, and that's going to be at 6 degrees of Taurus. New moons are times to make wishes. You can check out my video, Making Wishes Come True. If you just search for Annie Making Wishes Come True, you can learn more about how you can use these new moon energies. But basically you get 10 wishes at each new moon, and the more you align your wishes to the energies of the sign that the moon is in, the more easily the universe can bring those wishes into fruition. I also have a blog up on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, called Making Powerful New Moon in Taurus Wishes, that you can use specifically for this moon on the 26th. So Taurus energy rules money, finances, self-sufficiency, connectedness to earth, or eco-friendly types of things, earth sustainability projects. Also values, so anything along those lines will get a bigger boost when you wish for them around this time. Then around the 28th, and it's very close to this new moon energy, enough so that these energies could blend together, you could have electrifying experiences or information come in because Mercury is conjunct Uranus. And this is happening in Aries. So anytime you have something involving Uranus, you got to look out for surprises. When it's in Aries, which it has been and is going to be for a while, you have to guard your physicality, especially your head. So, you moving along and something bumping your head, the odds of that are increased during that time. So just watch yourself. Now, the odds are just as likely as information will bonk into your head, as opposed to the literal hitting into your head. Insights, sudden breakthroughs. It's a really great time for brainstorming. Whenever I see aspects like this with Uranus, I really love it for brainstorming on any topic. Then we close out the month, April 30th, with this energy of Saturn and Sagittarius with Chiron and Pisces. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid that really shows us how we have deep levels of woundedness and how that shows up in our lives, and how we can make our weakest link become a blessing and a major strength in our lives. So at this time, there could be opportunities for great forgiveness to occur of self and others, and transcending the issue of feeling like a victim. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general astrology for the month of April. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about my professional development courses. You can keep track of the registration for my astrology apprenticeship program, my coach certification and online business course. If you'd love to be a professional coach, help people reach their goals, that is one of the things I'm really good at, and I love to teach people how to help other people to do that. You can check that out. And I also teach my Creating Successful Online Business course if you would like to bring your business online and be free of your geography. So sign up for my email newsletter to get my monthly report. See what's new on my blog at anniehelpsyou.com. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.